And I said, but if you're such a good dad, though, why did you take my dad? He said to me, nothing bad comes from me. And he opened my chest, Randy, and allowed me to see my own heart. And when he showed me my heart, there was this wound in my heart that was like a non-healing wound. When he showed me the wound, I suddenly felt this warm, heavy liquid come from the top of my head all the way down till it reached my heart. And when it reached my heart, it melted that wound. That wound disappeared. And that was as if the scales were suddenly removed from my eyes, and my heart became one with the Father's heart. And I understood that I was not fatherless, that I had a dad. All the time I had a dad, and he was my dad.
Wow. And you were writing letters to your dad, Abba Father, as a child. And he answered all of those questions that you had as a child.
Yeah.
And let you know that he was your father.
Yeah.
And your mother she had died.
No, my father died when I was a year old. He was murdered. Yeah.
So when you saw your mother, was she?
She's alive. She's alive.
Still alive. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
It was as if, he took me out in front of all of these different people. They didn't have the experience. He was showing me, the experience.
Yes. Wow. So he was healing your heart.
He was healing my heart. Yeah.
Spiritually and also your mind and assuaging you and giving you peace in place of all the fears and all the consternation. So were these voices audible to you during this time, or were they something that you read in your spirit?
No. Before I saw Jesus, the voice that was speaking to me was outside of my body. It was as if somebody was speaking to me right into my ear. And then when I saw Jesus, his lips were never moving. My lips were never moving, but we were instant communication. It was like this instant telepathic communication that before I could even finish a question, he was already answering the question.
Yeah, that's a question that oftentimes people ask us who are near-death or afterlife survivors, is that, and your experience fits into that category of the near-death or being transported or what have you, is how the Lord speaks to us. Is it audible? Is it intuitive? That is just something that we would know innately between ourselves and God. And it's both, isn't it? I mean, the way that God speaks to us, and in my experience as well, was both audible and through that sense of knowing that we were speaking. And I've oftentimes prayed about that, and the answer I get is that it goes back to the Holy Spirit and Jesus being one. They're entities, persons as one, as the Father, but they speak to us in those ways as a single voice, but also as Jesus is is very precious to us, because Jesus revealed himself to you in a way that was healing you of all of these pains and losses. Did you feel completely healed at that point?
I did. One question that I've been asked is, well, what did he look like? And I could describe, he looked like what we have seen in most paintings or, most depictions of him, but it wasn't so much what he looked like, it was what it felt like to be in his presence. One of the things that he allowed me to have the experience of when I had this encounter with him was he allowed me to feel his heart. And so he showed me, he took me like it was like a scene in New York City with people walking back and forth, like the hurriness. And he said, look at this, my creation walking to and fro, and they don't stop to look up or to call on my name. And I could feel his heart. And I always say this, he only allowed me to feel a morsel of the heartbreak that he feels being separate from us, or when we don't believe in him or we don't know his nature. He allowed me to feel a little bit of the heartbreak, because if he had allowed me to feel the fullness of it, I couldn't take it. My heart couldn't take it. As it was, my heart felt like it was concaving. And then he allowed me to feel his love. Every person he took me before, he gave me messages for my brothers and my sisters. And he said, share this with them so that they would know that you were in my presence. Mm. And every time he took me before someone, he allowed me to feel his heart for that person. And that's why I say my heart couldn't take it. It felt like my heart was going to explode. Mm. So, when he says that I have loved you with an everlasting love, I experienced that everlasting love. And it was that everlasting love that transformed me and changed my life.
So beautiful. I get what you say, Sylvia, about the heart and understanding that he went to the cross because of his love for you and me. And I love what you say about he would, if it was just you alone, and we're speaking to you who are listening to this, he would do it all over again. When I was in surgery and the chest would be open and I would just look at that heart, my instant impression of that was that it wasn't just a beating piece of flesh, that there was something very ethereal, very, very spiritual, the aspect of the heart. The heart is the definition of life. When it beats, it is the definition of death when it stops beating for a human being. And so it is the heart of who we are. I mean, in terms of our ability to live. And the heart, spiritually speaking, is at the heart of our being able to live eternally with Jesus Christ. And without going through too much analogies between the heart, the fact that you had experienced that heart, that physical heart, kind of parallels what I had experienced in the operating room. Sylvia, are there any other words of wisdom that you want to speak, or any parting words before we close?
I just, I just want to encourage, as I said, anyone out there who's wondering or doubting or, just call out to him. He's faithful and he will show up. Randy, one of the things that changed in my life when I encountered Jesus was I had hope. And, when I was involved in the occult world, the hope was fleeting. And when I encountered Jesus, I had hope that no matter what, I was on the winning team and there was somebody that was battling for me.
Thanks for listening. Please like and subscribe. And if you'd like further information, go to our website at randyk.org, where our mission is simple: to share the great news of God's love.